TG Geeks, episode 178, July 16th, 2018. It is the eve of Comic-Con in San Diego. Hello and welcome to another webcast from tggeeks.com, where Ben and Keith, the two gay geeks, talk about all aspects of geekdom and nerdery. Sci-fi, comics, film, horror, genre, you name it, we talk about it. I'm Keith Lane. We're coming to you from TG Squared Studios in lovely Phoenix, Arizona.
And I'm Ben Raggington, also coming to you from that hot place called Phoenix, Arizona.
And we have an all Comic-Con episode for you, and we're going to just get right to it. And this time on our All Comic-Con International in San Diego episode.
God, that's a mouthful.
It is. We have Mr. Tony Kim, who is the CEO of the clothing line Hero Within. Welcome to the show, Tony.
Hey, guys. How you doing?
Good.
Doing good. And some of our listeners may remember we actually briefly interviewed Tony when he was here in Phoenix. And we
2 years ago.
2 years ago at Comic-Con, we interviewed Tony at his table, and I bought a jacket.
Yeah. So it's a really cool jacket.
That was that infamous year of that crazy.
Yes.
Oh my gosh.
The shooter and
that guy.
The dramatic change in the weapons policy that really affected like Comic-Cons from their forward. So it's crazy.
Absolutely. So for those that don't know who Tony Kim is and what Hero Within is, can you give us just a little short bio of you and where you came from and how you got into this business and what Hero Within? And then we'll talk about the really exciting stuff.
Yeah. Well, I, like we just talked about, my geek origins really is based in Comic-Cons. And, I started going to San Diego Comic-Con when I moved to California. This is now 13 years ago.
Oh my!
And I like many people, as soon as I went, I just realized that this was my people and this was my crowd, and this is where I belonged. And so I instantly fell in love and started going ever since. And then from that point on, I started attending I started after a few years of it, and this is like now in 2009, 2010. After a few years of going, I realized that every year I'd come back and I would have missed something big. Like, the first year I went, I didn't even know there were panels, I remember I woke up that morning and was like, hey, I want to go to that Comic-Con that I've always heard about.
Oh,
and
sure. Let's just go.
I called up a buddy of mine, walked in, bought tickets at the door,
when you could do that.
Saw the whole floor, and then
how long ago was that?
Came back. This was 2006.
My word, before it became the insanity that it is now.
Yeah. So I remember I came home and was talking to somebody going, man, I don't know why anyone would need to go for 4.5 days, because I saw most of it, and someone asked me, so what did you think of the panels? And I was like, what panels? What are you talking about?
What's a panel?
No idea. What's a panel? So after a few years of kind of that, of going and missing stuff, and then other people going and missing stuff, I realized, I'm going to chronicle my experiences at Comic-Con. And so I started a website called Crazy for Comic-Con, the number 4comiccon.com. And I'm going to kind of write down maybe some tips, some tricks, something useful to kind of help someone like me come and maybe maximize their experience. And so that happened right kind of at the boom of Comic-Con, right there at 2009, 2010. And I discovered that a lot of people really enjoyed those tips. And so I went from San Diego and expanded it to other conventions and started traveling to different shows and getting invited to moderate panels. And so I started like really investing in the Comic-Con community through this website. Well, through that experience, I was wanting to look a little more professional. I wanted to have a little bit more of a, look a little more like a grown-up. And I realized that, there's nothing really, a lot of options when it came to apparel for guys that reflected our fandom. I mean, there was the T-shirt and the hoodies and that kind of thing. But, I was like, where is all the clothes? And then in the past probably 5 years, we've really seen this proliferation of women's wear when it comes to fandom, and through companies like Her Universe and that kind of thing. And I was like, man, where is it for the guys? And so after doing a ton of research and talking to a lot of people, I just kind of set out to start something myself. And so back in 2015, we launched like a prototype blazer at that time. And then from that point on, I had a strong enough response to where we returned back to San Diego Comic-Con. We launched our company here within, and we basically do sophisticated geek apparel for guys. And then we eventually, about 8 months later, we launched our women's side as well. And so we're still a relatively young company, but it's been an incredible journey and crazy roller coaster ride experience. And my favorite thing is that our story is kind of linked very closely with San Diego Comic-Con. That's kind of how I discovered who I was, what I was passionate about, how this company launched, and then every year when we return, it really signifies a milestone for our company.
Well, you have a huge milestone for this year. You primarily, prior to this Comic-Con, you've focused on the DC universe of fandom.
Yeah, just looking at
Wonder Woman, the Wonder Woman jacket.
Oh, the Wonder Woman jacket is amazing. But
yeah, incredible.
But I was
well as all the other Wonder Woman.
Yeah, I'm
stuff,
looking at your website right now, and it's very, very DC. But
this year,
we've grown to be included into the Marvel family.
Yay!
Fantastic.
You are a cross comic universe company now, so that's really cool.
Yeah. The parallel universe has we're like colliding. Our universes are colliding, and so back in March we announced our official license with Marvel. Very excited about that, and we basically were at where were we at? We were at New York Comic-Con, and we got approached by somebody that had connections with Marvel, and just basically said that we would love to connect you with Marvel. And I didn't think much of it. I thought that it was just kind of like, you hear things like that all the time when you're at a booth. But then shortly after, Marvel contacted us and said they reviewed our material and would love to work with us. And so
that's cool.
Finalized the deal and was able to announce it back in March. And so we've been in heavy development since that time, and it's tough because nothing seems to come out fast enough and quick enough, and everything is just to go through the R&D process always takes twice as much or twice as long and twice as expensive to get through everything. But we are 10 days away from Comic-Con, and so our plan is to unveil the collection there. And so we're super excited and really appreciative of all the support from sites like yourself and other fans who are eagerly anticipating the release of the collection.
Yeah,
well, the DC stuff is fantastic. I can't wait to see what you've got planned in terms of Marvel. What I'm curious about is, I don't know if it's the case with DC, but when you're beginning to roll out, or at least come up with ideas for Marvel comic-themed clothing for adults, did it have to go through any kind of a clearing process with Marvel, where they say, yeah, we like this, or no, we don't like that, or anything along those lines?
Sure. There's a little bit of a process. I mean, Fortunately, I mean, Marvel is awesome to work with. I mean, they are, as you can imagine, because of the parent company Disney, there's quite a process to go through. It's a very thorough process, approval process. And they're great. For the most part, I think they really give a lot of freedom and liberty to their creators. Probably the main two variables that affect anything are the brand usage. And so anytime you are using the logo of a character, it has to be represented in a certain way. So they're very specific about that. So, when it comes to the size or placement or color or whatever, so all that stuff is fairly important. Certainly if they're involved, like the likeness of characters, actors, that sort of thing, but my clothes don't do that. There certainly are recommendations. They give some recommendations based on a variety of things, as far as like what's popular, what movies out right now, what's around the corner, blah blah blah. But for the most part, they've been really great to work with, and I think that as long as the piece is compelling and you could make an argument for it, then you're usually in good shape. So it's been great. I think the biggest thing is just that the process itself is sort of a multi-phase process. It just takes time to go through it, and so when you're launching a multiple piece collection, it can get a little bit like this piece is on phase 2, and this piece is on phase 4, and this piece is still in phase 1, and then so it's just like this. It's a little bit of a juggling act that sort of get pushed through a whole collection because of the multiple phases and multiple pieces and multiple conversations about each one. So that part's a little bit it's a little crazy, but overall awesome.
So you just touched on something that I'm very curious about, and that's the different phases of development as you're working on some of these clothing. So I mean, let's pick on something that is already out. We'll use the Wonder Woman denim jacket, which is what I have, and I absolutely love it. And it's a very, very popular item every time we go by one of your booths. What was the phase development in coming up with something like that?
So what do you mean? Like what?
You come up with this idea. Oh, let's make a Wonder Woman jacket, a Wonder Woman denim jacket. So how do you? I mean, what are the different stages?
Okay.
Yeah, the process in getting that realized.
Yeah. So I think because we're a young company, and because really who we are and what we're doing and developing, it's continually evolving. I mean, we're like any young company. I mean, we have to sort of adjust and flex and kind of. What I love about going to Comic-Con, various Comic-Cons, is you get a chance to have like great interactions with different consumers about what they love, what they're interested in, what really resonates with them. The Wonder Woman jacket was certainly a game changer for us, just because it introduced a lot of different things. I mean, just the idea of celebrating a heroine versus a male hero, but then that being a product for men as well as for ladies. I mean, that kind of stuff has really shifted our thinking a lot of times in regards of what we're going to produce. And then also that bringing in female fans into the booth, because before we had women's wear, we were only allowed at that time to market and develop for men, and so then we got the women's license, and then we expanded it to dresses and that kind of thing. But the point being is that bringing women into the booth has also sort of changed our company as well. Just because we're having more and more conversations. And so I think one of the things that when we decided with this Marvel collection that we were like, we're going to create a certain piece that, our company, I don't believe, one of our phrases that we say is that, and it's on our website, that, we create timeless fashion for timeless fandom. And, we're not necessarily trying to innovate like a brand new type of coat or necessarily innovate a brand new type of like style that's never been seen before. We want to take styles that you know and love, like the blazer, the denim jacket, the pea coat, and like integrate the fandom into it, to where you can, probably one of the biggest things I've heard people say is that, hey, I can wear that to work, you know, and to be able to take something that you know and love, to integrate it into clothes that can allow you to go to work, go to an event, go on a date, like to look nice, and but to sort of have this like subtle integration. So for us, you know, when we take a piece, I really think through the not just the what's sort of trending and hot and what's sort of like around the corner, but then also what's the essence of that character, you know, and how can that character be represented in a way that is true to that character, but at the same time also kind of brings in like something new and fresh to our collection. So you know, the process has been we're just to sort of tease kind of what we're working on. We made a couple of Avengers pieces, like general Avengers pieces that sort of represents all the characters. And you know, when we do something like that, that's also a little bit of a challenge because that's multiple characters, you know, and you can't sort of focus on one, but you kind of have to have all of them sort of represented in some way. And so we have one that's very traditional in a body style that's pretty familiar, but it's subtle, it's classy, and but it has a modular piece to it that you can sort of change out different characters. And I'm so sorry, I mean, it's super cryptic, but
well, no, understandable.
Yeah, it'll all be revealed shortly, but you know, so something that is customizable to where it's like it can sort of reflect certain individuals. And then we have another piece that is a little bit more out there. It's got a little bit more, like it's more bold. It's got all the characters represented. And so we have one that's a little bit more on the subtle side that has like a very small customizable feature on it. Another one that's very bold, so that's very out there. That has all the characters represented. And so, you know, kind of two different options. And so, you know, when we, in the development process, we're, again, just trying to make it where it's fun, it's exciting, it's very, something that's unique to that character, but also something that's somewhat familiar to something that's completely out there, you know, like we're not, you know, we're not trying to like, hey, we're going to bring back like super big collars, you know, and we're going to, or bell bottoms, or, you know, we're not trying to like
why not?
necessarily like, we're not necessarily trying to create a like whole new style of a coat.
You know, you're not trying to be a fashion designer. No,
you're just integrating current.
Yeah, integrating it into timeless fashion that you know and love. You know, so that's fun. You know, to kind of do it that way because you know, it's fun to kind of take things that are sort of traditional and cleverly integrating our sort of concepts into them. So yeah, I'm really excited. It's been it's been a labor of love, blood, sweat, and tears, all that good stuff.
So since this episode releases 2 days before Comic-Con starts, this is going to be the 16th. What can you share with us that you've got that you can share publicly? That you're going to have.
Oh, I definitely can share that we have. I mentioned a couple pieces that reflect the Avengers.
Right.
We have a Captain America piece that I'm really super excited about.
Yes.
Very, 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 very subtle, but also just like very. It's hard to find. It's very subtle, but it's very not. You know, it's anyway. The Captain America piece I'm really jazzed about. A Thor piece. You know, Thor doesn't get as much love. I mean, there's a ton of love for that character, but there's not a lot of pieces out there for him.
Well, and he's kind of Thor about that, huh?
Yeah, so I'm excited. We have a Thor one that's really fun.
Would that be a tricky one to design for? Because as you said, I mean, he doesn't get a lot of love, and I think it's because he's, you know, we're talking about a Norse god. So is it just because of the nature of the character that made that a bit of a challenge to come up with something fashionable, you know, that people could wear?
Yeah, I'm not quite sure. I mean, he's, maybe it's because I don't know. I think that the character of Thor has been so interesting because, as we've all seen, I mean, he's taken quite a crazy arc over the past 3 movies, and I think but certainly this last movie was really it was a great movie, but it was just so crazy compared to the last one. So. I don't know. I don't know if maybe it's because he doesn't have a distinct logo. I mean, he's got the hammer, but maybe because he's not as I don't know, maybe market friendly that there's not as many pieces. I don't know. I'm not quite sure, but we're gonna figure that out. We'll find out.
Yeah,
with our own piece, what the deal is, and so so we got that. We have a Black Panther piece coming out.
Ooh, nice.
And we have what else we have? We have a couple of ladies pieces coming out as well. We have a counterpart women's Black Panther piece, a dress.
Yay!
And I'm really excited about. We have a really fun Guardians of the Galaxy piece coming out. We just actually teased this on our social a couple days ago. But really excited about a Guardians of the Galaxy piece. It's going to be sort of retro 80s, and
nice.
Which is really fun because who doesn't love the 80s? And so I'm really pumped about that.
Fantastic. I'm assuming that once all these get unveiled over in San Diego Comic-Con, that you will then be pushing them on your website. Is that correct?
Yes, for sure. I mean, we'll actually unveil the collection. I mean, we'll have a basic set of pics that we will reveal online right before the show, because we know that in order for fans that want to, they'll want to see.
They want to know how much cash they got to bring.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, yeah. In order to want to get them to our booth, we want to be able to show them, hey, this is what we have. So, it will post online right before the show. But then, we'll take all of our. Most of it's pre-order. We do have some of the items that will be available to take, but most of it's for pre-order. It's in production, and then we'll continue the whatever's left in pre-order will post online for sale after the show.
Fantastic. So since we're on that subject, let me ask this. Is there any social media presence? I mean, I did mention that there was a website, and you did talk a little bit about social media. So what's the different social media presence that is out there for Hero Within and the different lines of clothing that you have?
Yeah, so our different accounts, our primary ones are Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. And so for both Instagram and Twitter, it's Here Within Inc. INC. And basically we'll be doing updates throughout the whole week of Comic-Con. Besides just what's going on at our booth, we'll have writers that are kind of covering the show, what's happening, the latest and greatest. You can also find us on Facebook. If you just search Here Within, we'll pop up. And then also our blog on our website, where all of our content will be directed. Besides the reveal of the clothing, throughout the week we'll be covering kind of news and panels and doing kind of like daily updates on our blog. So definitely you can catch us there. At the show, we'll also be besides our Marvel collection, we'll be making available all of our DC stuff as well. So definitely encourage anyone who's a fan of either one to come by our booth. And our booth number is 2047, so 2047. And this is pretty cool. We announced earlier this week that we are doing the release of our Superman blazer for as one of our exclusives.
Oh, cool.
We did a 80th anniversary blazer.
Oh, it's beautiful.
So, yeah. And the cool thing is that it's going to be on display at the DC Comics booth this year.
Oh,
so definitely, go by the DC booth. And as anyone knows that's there, the DC booth is probably the busiest booth at the show. And so it'll be proudly on display, and super excited about that. And then, lastly, we're doing a charity auction with, we're collaborating with a designer. Her name is Litao Platt, and we're designing 2 pieces that are made from the Warner Brother swag bags. And so these are like two a men's jacket and a women's jacket that are made purely out of the swag bags from this year.
Wow.
And so we're basically crafting those as sort of like art pieces, and we're going to have those available for silent auction throughout the week at our booth, and to go towards our cause, which is providing age-appropriate comic books for kids in foster care here in Orange County.
Oh, that's
Cool.
fantastic.
That is
Excellent.
absolutely wonderful. Well,
Yeah.
Tony, this has been really great to talk to you for an extended period this time and find out all the new stuff and the great things that are going on. We wish you really great luck here at
And great success.
Success, yeah. And thank you.
Well, thank you so much, and thank you for your support. And you guys are awesome, and I love seeing you guys at the shows. And we'll miss you at San Diego, but we can't wait to see you next time.
We'll cross
be
paths again.
Yeah, we'll be someplace. Well, thanks for being on the show this time, Tony.
All righty. Thank you so much.
Hey guys, my name's Gigi Edgley. I play Tiana on Farscape, and I'm the host of Jim Henson's Creature Shop Challenge. And you're listening to the amazing, awesome, brilliant, perfect, wonderful 2K Geeks. Mwah!
Can we hire her to be our spokesperson?
Yeah.
Wow.
That would be great. Here's a few selected birthdays for July 16th through July 22nd, 2018. July 16th, Ginger Rogers and Orville Redenbacher. July 17th, Phyllis Diller and Art Linkletter. I didn't realize that it was Art Linkletter's birthday.
No way, you're right. And he was there when Disneyland
Disney-
opened in 1955.
Yeah, and 63 years ago. And a good friend of ours, Tom King, who we keep trying to meet, and we're going to cross paths in someday. And Scott Miller. July 18th, Paul Verhoeven and Vin Diesel. I am Groot.
Right.
And John Glenn. July 19th, Howard Schultz, who we wouldn't have coffee without. Benedict Cumberbatch, Brian May,
Awesome guitarist.
Edgar Degas, and up-and-coming opera singer Zachary Owen, and one of my former bosses, Lori Iwanski. Happy birthday, Lori.
And I met Zachary. He's a really, really great guy.
Yeah, July 20th, Carlos Santana.
Another great guitarist.
Yeah, Matt Lancelotti.
Love you, Matt.
Love you, Matt. And Rebecca Stiles,
She's awesome.
Classmate of mine. July 21st, Robin Williams. And Ernest Hemingway.
Ernest Hemingway?
Yes. July 22nd, Louise Fletcher, Terrence Stamp, Alan Menken, Don Henley, and James Whale, who we would not have Frankenstein or Bride of Frankenstein.
No, I wouldn't. So we had an
without.
eagle and a whale.
An eagle and a whale. There we go. How about that? And that's it for the birthdays this time.
Hi, this is Barbara Dillon, one of the co-hosts of Fanbase Press's flagship podcast, The Fanbase Weekly. During the Fanbase Weekly podcast, the co-hosts and I discuss the top geek news stories of the week. In each episode, we are joined by special guests from all across the pop culture spectrum to get their take on what's happening in geekdom. Past guests have included Jeffrey Thorne, writer of Leverage and The Librarians, DC All Access's Jason Inman, Debbie Lynn Smith of Chimera Press, Xena Warrior Princess executive producer Stephen L. Sears, Ashley V. Robinson of Geek History Lessons, and many, many more. Join us for an episode of the podcast that celebrates fandoms on a weekly basis. A new episode of the Fanbase Weekly is released every Monday. Be sure to subscribe to us on iTunes or look for the podcast at fanbasepress.com.
Go give a listen to Fanbase Weekly over at fanbasepress.com, and our friends Barbara and Bryant Dillon. They're going to be at Comic-Con as well, releasing the new Margins graphic novel.
Everybody's going to be at Comic-Con.
Yeah,
except us.
Nope. No feedback this time.
No feedback.
Because we're recording early. So, but everybody can comment on our Facebook page. You know the drill on how to comment at tggeeks.com, or you can call 469-TG-GEEKS. That is 469-844-3357. And please play nice.
Yeah, baby. They're like two gay geeks. They're together, you know. They're two gay guys and they're geeks. Is that okay?
Well, we don't have a regular second segment. We do have another interview for you, so we're going to get right to it. And this time we welcome back our good friends Neil and Jana Halford of Swords and Circuitry. I always say that. Swords and Circuitry Studios and Uncharted Regions. Welcome back to the show.
Your Freudian slip is showing.
I know, it is. It ain't pretty either.
Like the circusry. I think kind of like the circusry.
Yeah.
Trademark.
Circusry. Well, you know, if you look really closely on Facebook and you look up TG Squared Studios, I listed it as a circus.
Oh, you will, yeah. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Anyway.
So I'll bring my big honky nose and, you know.
There you go. Okay.
Some kind of practice tight wire stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. So on this all Comic-Con International in San Diego episode that we have here.
I hate that name.
I know, but it is the official name, so we have to say it.
Schmo-official.
So we can call it San Diego Comic-Con from now on. Now that I've said the official name, we can refer to it by the generic. So
just make sure you put a hyphen in the middle of it.
Oh, well, there you go.
Yeah,
Anyway.
while we're speaking.
While we're speaking, yes.
I was going to say it's harder to see the hyphen on the radio.
Exactly.
Unless you actually say it's San Diego Comic-Con.
Yeah, yes.
And then they'll be really upset with you.
A convention of people that like hyphens. Yeah.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Funny hyphens. Yeah.
So since we're doing this San Diego Comic-Con episode, why on earth do we have you guys here again?
I don't know.
Many would ask that.
So, yes. This year, we are once again doing panels at Comic-Con. This year, we're really excited because this is the first year that we have officially been invited to have one of our episodes of Uncharted Regions.
Ooh, very nice.
And which, of course, for viewers of yours who might not have heard your previous shows with us before, is an audio drama series, sort of in the spirit of, we say it's sort of like Twilight Zone on the radio.
Right.
On the internet or wherever this ends up being, but it's again a classic sort of audio drama series, and so we are really happy that for this particular episode we had invited and she crazily enough accepted an invitation. So we have Gigi Edgley, who of Farscape fame.
Yeah, and we talked to Gigi.
And so
we talked to Gigi on the show here, a couple of months ago. Yeah.
Oh, she was amazing.
Yes,
She's
as always.
charming and wonderful, isn't she? Yeah.
So who else do you have involved with this?
So who else we have involved with us? So we also have the other, of course, Jana and I will be on. So we're going to present the episode, and after it's over with, then Jana and I are going to bring out a panel. So Jana and I will both be on it, and we have, who else is on our panel?
Randy Davison, who's one of our leads, along with Tamara Al-Said.
Al-Said, yes.
And Larry Nemechek
may or may not show up. We don't really know about Larry at the moment because Larry, of course, it was the writer of the Star Trek Communicator. He was on Star Trek Continues. Mm-hmm. But Larry may have a conflicting panel. We don't know at the moment, but it sounds like it might be crashing into a Star Trek Discovery panel, which, of course, if that's the case, he's going to be covering that.
Yeah.
But all of our lead performers will be there.
Our three leads.
Our three leads will be there, and we're really excited about it. They're awesome people, and Randy Davison is very much a geeky kind of guy, and he is thrilled to be on a Comic-Con panel, and tomorrow will be wonderful. She's very engaging, and of course Gigi. So we're delighted to have our three leads there. And if Larry is able to make it, we'll be glad to have him aboard
we'll have
too.
him on the panel.
Yes.
This is really nice for us because we've done three previews at other smaller conventions along the way. But Randy was actually out of town for a long time because he had some family stuff going on. His mother passed away a couple of months ago, and so he was out of state for our previous three. And so this is actually his first chance to actually be together. So we'll actually have all the prime cast together for the first time on stage following the episode this time.
Well, that's cool. So you're going to actually play the episode as well, right?
So we're going to play the entire first episode, and then we'll have it basically a
short
panel Q&A following the episode.
Oh, cool.
Now Keith and I had the pleasure of hearing it when we were down in WhedonCon, and not to necessarily take a peek behind that curtain, but it was sort of known that poor Neil, you were really scrambling to get as much of this thing as presentable as possible.
Yes.
It was very much a rough cut, but we did have all the audio there, and so yes, it'll be further refined for Comic-Con.
Yeah, for Comic-Con, because as we've been going along, I've been trying to get the music finished for the episode. It's been complicated because my mother has not been in the best health, and so I'm kind of bopping back and forth between Oklahoma and our home here in San Diego, and so trying to get it done and just other miscellaneous tweaks on it to make it sound as good as possible, because obviously Comic-Con we will be on a much larger stage than we've been so far. Mm-hmm. And so I'm very determined to make sure that the sound is as good as possible, so that everyone gets the benefit of hearing what the episode should really sound like. But it already sounds better than it did when you guys heard it at WhedonCon, and of course now it has music underneath it. I'm still finishing the last bits of music for it right now.
A few final scenes.
Yeah, the last couple scenes.
Well, it sounded pretty awesome. I mean, I was intrigued by the story, So you've added...
hopefully that's good, because if you're not, then the rest of it's sort of pointless.
Well, I must say, even though I've obviously heard this episode a few times, the story does hold up very well. It's you did a good job. It's a well-crafted story, and I can't say enough good things about our performers. We have wonderful actors.
Right.
The thing about it is, whenever you're doing something like this, particularly since it's not an ongoing series, of course we've done two episodes before this. There was Someday Over You, which is what we premiered at the Horrible Imaginings Film Festival last year, and then we had an episode called Trail of Fears, written by our good friend Harris Orkin, and so those two are kind of in the can, and so we have this third one we're working on, and then we have a fourth that we'll be taping hopefully in the next couple of months, called Haven.
And we'll probably make an announcement about that at the panel.
Yes.
We'll have more details about who's going to be in it, etc. ready. So we will have a special announcement at the. Yeah. I'm anticipating.
We're hoping we're going to be able to make that. We're not entirely sure that we can, but we are about 95% sure that we can do that at the panel.
So the Trail of Fears, that has not been released yet. Is that correct?
No, it has not been released.
All right.
And so
I didn't think so. I thought
we don't know this one.
I haven't heard that one. I'm sure we would have heard it.
That one, that one is basically done, except for the fact that it still needs some music underneath it. There is a little bit of music in it right now, but we're still in the process of trying to get some music laid under that one, because that one episode was directed and produced by Harris's. Because he actually has a recording studio and he does audio dramas and things on his own, so he did it, and so in order to make it match the way our other episodes are, we need to go back and do another pass on the music. Not that the music in there was bad, it's just the fact that they were only sort of using it as transitions between scenes, and we score everything.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So anyway, but it's a really great episode. Looking forward for folks being able, getting an opportunity to listen to that one as well.
Cool.
Well, also it being a Western set horror, that gives a little different flavor than some of the other things we're doing. So that
a space western. Yes,
these Haunted Hills is definitely kind of a western vibe to it too.
it does, but theirs is more of the traditional out on the range.
Yeah, well, theirs is actually a western
on Earth.
I
not
see.
another. Ours is another planet. So.
Yeah.
Right. The space western, yes. I thought that was that's the most cool thing is this space western,
Well, so for anybody who is listening to this and maybe they can't make it out to San Diego because they're like on the other side of the globe, give us a little hint as to what is the story of these Haunted Hills.
The story of these Haunted Hills involves a character who is sort of a science researcher. She works basically sort of agriculture station on Mars, on a terraform planet. And during the midst of a kind of evolving political crisis that's going on her planet, she basically encounters the unexplained. And it actually brings up a bit of a family mystery that her father has been missing for some time, and so something about the events in this particular episode kind of dig up what happened to her father, who's been missing for a number of years.
Well, also to me, it brings up that interesting issue of there are aspects to being human that are not fully explained by science, at least not by this point. So you have somebody whose life is based on logic and reason and science, and she comes across something that is beyond coincidence. And so I like that topic. I like her dealing with that because we are complex creatures and we don't fully understand everything that's going on with us. And so anyway, I like that part of it a lot.
Yeah.
So there may be a little bit of spoilery there for both of us, but
I think that's kind of cool.
But anyway, it's very definitely kind of in the Twilight Zone mode of things. There's some things that happened along the way. They're very strange and bizarre.
Well, I was going to say, me saying that somebody encounters the unexpected could be said in pretty much everything we're doing.
Right.
But anyway, but it is very, very much a character story. It's very much about the relationship of the three main characters and sort of each one of them coming from a different place and defining sort of what family is and what trust is about. And so that's sort of more of the English school thematic kind of things that we're dealing with in it.
Well, also the way that the three main actors play against each other, I think, is very good because Randy Davison's character of the sheriff is a really good counterpart to the more expressive lead of Alice that Gigi plays, and then Tamara that plays a 13 or 14-year-old girl who is the right age for the part. Yeah. She and Gigi play very well against each other. I actually think that both in real life and in characters, one is like a younger version of the other. Mm-hmm. So anyway, it's in terms of personality. Maybe not always viewpoint, but personality. So anyway, it's very fun the way the characters work together.
Yeah. So you have mentioned, I think, if I recall correctly, that all of these stories are in the same universe. Is that correct?
I remember hearing something about that too.
No, not that all the stories are the same universe. You may have heard me make mention the fact that.
Oh, no.
Oh, I know what it is. I know what it is. Yes. I remember now.
Case of Evil is the same universe as
good grief! That first one.
Yes, the Case of Evil and Someday Over You.
Yes.
Which was the first episode. So the Case of Evil was a sort of noir horror short that Jane and I did in 2014. And how we got to know you guys in the first place. Yeah. So that particular episode and the Case of Evil, or the Case of Evil and Someday Over You, both exist in the same universe.
Yeah, that was what it was.
And if you listen really carefully to Someday Over You, we make mention of the main character from the Case of Evil.
Uh-huh.
So this was a conscious
wrote that
design?
and then- Pardon?
Was this a
What?
conscious design to actually have those two be in the same universe? I mean, I love the idea of universe building. I'm always fascinated by that kind of idea. And here you're taking a radio short or a presentation, a show that is radio type, and then mixing into the same universe as is this phenomenal black and white short film. Seems like that's not the first thing that I think a lot of people would make that connection with. So when it came time to doing Somewhere Over You, was that the intention of putting this in the same universe as Case of Evil?
Somewhere over
Well, see,
the case, yes.
Here's the weird convoluted history of this.
We're good at that kind of thing.
So
No wonder we like you guys so much.
So even though Someday Over You was only recorded in 2014,
Or 20.
in 2014.
Well, you recorded Case of Evil was 2014.
No, sorry. Even though the Case of Evil was shot in 2014, Someday Over You actually predates it.
From 1973 or some crazy something like that.
No,
right?
not 73.
You were home on in elementary school.
I was slobbering onto my television set watching Skylab, probably. But no, this was in 1984. I actually, whenever I had just graduated from high school, I actually created this radio series because I'd started a job at a radio station that didn't really care what we did with a production studio. And so we created what was really the first run of Uncharted Regions back in which ran intermittently between 84 and 89, basically whenever I had spare time. It was, and whenever we had a script and we could pull friends together. But Someday Over You was actually an episode that I wrote. It was an episode that we actually didn't get a chance to record back in the day because it got written towards the end of my tenure at the radio station, and ultimately it sat on a shelf. And over the years, I kept on kind of adapting ideas from it. I came up with a story with Jana. We came up with a web series idea called Scratch, which was based on it. Which introduced a certain element that actually shows up in the Case of Evil, because when we decided we wanted to make a short, we actually pillaged Scratch for elements, turned that into the Case of Evil, and then when we finally came around and decided to start doing the radio, to kind of reboot my old radio drama series, I then went back and referenced the Case of Evil in Someday Over You.
But there is quite a bit more world built if we're ever able to do Scratch.
Yeah.
We've got a whole thing, but that's an expensive production. It's a road piece. We need specific types of cast members with specific skills, such as being able to play blues guitar.
Yeah.
So it's
there's about 6 episodes of that web series that are written that are kind of sitting on in a folder right now, and
holding pattern.
It would just be a matter of figuring out how to fund it, because it would be a fairly expensive little piece of something to shoot.
Well, when we win the lottery.
Yeah. Yeah, when we win the Powerball, we'll make sure to fund it.
Yeah, because it's basically a road picture, and so it involves a lot of different locations and getting rights to various pieces of music and all this kind of stuff. And so
I've thought about doing that audio, but I think there's a lot of beautiful visual that we'd lose with that.
Yeah,
that would be wonderful to do. There's some imagery and stuff that would be really awesome to get on film. So
I would love it if people ever could see Scratch, though. I'm actually really proud of that particular piece of work. But,
yeah.
Anyway,
well,
so that's the long story is that Someday Over You is actually older than Case of Evil, but whenever we decided to actually get down to recording that episode, I kind of retroactively went back and inserted a reference to the short, just because it's kind of a perverse little thing of the fact that it all came out of the same soup.
Yeah.
Okay.
I tease Neil about being his own intern because he's collaborating with his, teenage to early 20s self as he does this.
It's very timey-wimey.
Well, that's pretty cool.
Yes, great.
Oh, very.
Yes.
We're really excited that you're really making some waves with this Uncharted Regions and your old-time radio dramas, because I think that you made a big splash with Someday Over You,
which was amazing
and
at Horrible
Haunted
Imaginings.
Hills, and you have some really exciting things coming up, and some wonderful people to write for you and be in the episodes that we can't talk about.
Not yet.
All this kind of stuff.
Yeah, that. Like I say, we may or may not have an announcement at Comic-Con. Like I say, we're working on it. We're working on it. We're about 95% there. We don't want to say it until we know we can say it. So.
Right. Well, that makes perfect sense. So in the meantime, because as I said, you can't Comic-Con coming up, but for those people who will not be able to attend Comic-Con and they want to know more about all things Uncharted Regions, what kind of social media presence is there?
Are you on the Facebooks, the Twitters?
We are at a few places. We have, of course, an official website, which is just unchartedregions.com. If you are on Facebook, we also have a Facebook page for Uncharted Regions. And if you're on Twitter, you can find us at Uncharted Region, singular, because I don't have enough character for
Oh, you don't have enough character.
So there's not enough room for this. So apparently on Twitter, we only have one region that's Uncharted.
We're talking about the letter S, not a euphemism.
Right. For anybody out there who wasn't quite sure what we're all talking about, wink, wink, nudge, nudge, say no more.
And so I probably should get on getting us a Instagram account, but for an Instagram account for a radio series seems a little absurd. But
well, you can always post photos of the people in the studio as you're recording it.
Well, we have those photos, and of course we're really excited. We have a photographer that has been dutifully following us around and taking pictures at our various panels, and so we'll have some fabulous pictures to share from Comic-Con, I am sure. That's Peggy Warney, and she's actually amazing photographer. We've just been really lucky with everything that she's given us, and so we're looking forward to having her with us again.
So when is the panel at Comic-Con?
So the panel is going to be Friday, October.
Yeah, there we go.
We'll be there.
We can make it in October. We just can't make it in July.
No. It is Friday, July 20th at 3 p.m. in the Neil Morgan Auditorium of the San Diego Public Library.
And this is a free event, non-badge event, correct?
No, I mean it's unfortunately it's one of those things that.
Oh no, there was another one that I'm sorry.
Had wrong information.
We had wrong information.
Oh, okay.
I believe in the past it was anything at the library was open, but we've been told that they are cracking down and will be checking badges.
Yeah, so you have to have a Comic-Con badge. So unfortunately, unless you are registered for Comic-Con or you have a really good friend, you won't be able to see this. So this will only unfortunately be open to people who have their Comic-Con badges.
Can we use last year's?
Yeah, sure.
But of course, we've been doing these previews at conventions mainly to kind of spread awareness about the series, because even though we have been kind of doing this as one-offs, eventually these will land on either a radio station. We want a terrestrial broadcast radio station if we can get it, because we want national exposure. And then if failing that, we may go to Audible or iTunes or something else like that. So eventually all 13 episodes of the first season will be available for people to listen to, and you don't have to have a special super secret badge in order to hear them. But
maybe a combination of things like Audible and then some radio home. We'll have to see what we get.
I'm hoping that with us potentially starting recording on our next episode, probably within the next month or so, that goes well, then we'll have a new episode to start touring the conventions, maybe this fall.
Yeah.
And then maybe more of a package to present to see if we can get this landed somewhere.
Very nice.
Cool. Well, thank you, Neil and Jana from Uncharted Regions, for being on the show this time.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for having us.
It's always a pleasure. Thank you.
I'm Daniel Radcliffe, and I believe that reaching out for help is the bravest thing a person can do. If you are struggling and need support, call the Trevor Lifeline at 1-866-488-7386. It's free and confidential, and trained counsellors are there to listen 24/7 without judgment. To learn more about the Trevor Project's life-saving work for lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, or questioning young people, go to thetrevorproject.org.
Real quickly, we had a couple of things that we're going to run. Dr. Zombie, Monster Family Physician number 4 on the 8th. 177, TG Geeks 177 on the 9th. Logan's Run, old classic newly reviewed on the 11th. And New Sushi number 19 on the 13th. Find all of that at tggeeks.com. And the reason we don't have the rest of it, we're recording this early, so we haven't worked it all out yet. And as usual, we got our follow-up items. Check out the widgets on the side of the page. There's several books and things to order. Check out Arizona Opera at azopera.org. And as everybody knows, we're huge supporters of independent creators, filmmakers, comic book artists, writers, etc. Please buy their stuff.
Check out the Doctor Who Fancast Guide, Byron Nick's Semi-Journal Aggregator, the Arkle Times Post-Dispatch News. You can find them by looking for Doctor Who Talking Who on Twitter, at Talking Who, Michael C. Burgess on Twitter, at Byron Nick, and the Human Arkle, at Arkle. They republish our content. We say thank you. And speaking of Arkle, he is on Tumblr with the incorrect Star Trek Voyager quotes. Check that out, as well as checking out the Facebook group, The Gay Geek, for allowing us to post our episodes and relative stories on their page. We thank them for that. Facebook.com/groups/The Gay Geek, with special thanks to moderator Jeremiah Reeves for giving us permission to share our content there.
Thank you, Jeremiah, and thank you to everybody that's clicked on our Amazons. Keep doing it. Keep doing it. Please, please, please. And lastly, check us out on Krypton Radio at 3 a.m. and 3 p.m. Pacific Time. Please rate us and review us on iTunes and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Well, next week we're going to have an exciting interview for you. We got 2 kind of in the can, but I haven't decided which one we're going to do. It could be either an agent, a literary agent, or somebody from the Phoenix Film Festival. We'll see.
Either. They're both good.
We'll see. Okay, that should do it for this episode of TG Geeks Webcast. Be sure to check out the article for this webcast episode. We're going to have several links on the page. And remember, you can comment on our Facebook page or our website, tggeeks.com, where you can leave us a voicemail at 469-TG-GEEKS. That is 469-844-3357. From TG Squared Studios, I'm Keith Lane. Thanks for listening. Please be kind to yourself and others around you. Peace.
Cheers.